Your boys might be taking a week off, but don't worry, we've got a bonus episode all planned for you. We take a look back at some of our favorite moments from our first 20 episodes right here on Sit Down Marks.
Kick off the show, we got to get a little welcome from Dirty Bird. There is no other way to do this. He's the one that welcomes us to Sit Down Marks every single episode. So enjoy this little 30-second mashup in honor of the man himself, Dirty Bird.
All right, everybody, welcome. Hello, guys. All right, everybody, here we are live. This show is Sit Down Marks. Let's talk wrestling. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Here we go. Sit Down Marks, man. It's time to talk a little wrestling. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to come in too hot there. All right, there we go. Fixing my sound there. Sorry about that. Well, let me turn myself off in my ear. Sorry. There we go. Well, let me mute myself. There we go. All right. Appreciate everybody jumping in here. This is Sit Down Marks. It's time to talk a little wrestling.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 20 of Sit Down Marks. You may notice that your heel host Dirty Bird isn't here opening the show. He's currently in parts unknown having a well-deserved vacation. Additionally, our babyface co-host straight out of Yo Mama's Kitchen, the assistant editor producer of the show AJ, is off the hook for this week as well. So, for the millions in attendance and all of our Sit Down Marks fans listening across the globe, you are officially on this special edition ride with yours truly, hailing from the land of the rattlesnake, Mr. Team Extreme, president of the Johnny Drip Drip Club, Primo. All right, stop cheering for me. Let's get into it. First, I'd like to take a brief moment to thank everyone for listening, and remember all of our podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Prime Music, Audible, and of course, Sportnarium Online Radio. You can catch us on Sportnarium Online Radio during our weekly time slots of Friday at 7:15 Eastern, right after Thomas Bryce, as well as replay throughout the week. This episode is going to be a little different. You could think of it as a best of or even a bit of a journey through Sit Down Marks as I take you through some of our best moments from the previous 19 episodes. So make sure you're seated, grab your dripstick, and listen up as we get right into it. Let's start the show off by the introduction of the Sit Down Marks Championship. Dirty came up with this concept before WrestleMania, and he introduced it to myself at the time, Ziggy, and also AJ. We were going to pick the matches for WrestleMania, and whoever won the WrestleMania Pick'em would be the champ. But I'll let Dirty explain it because he explains it better in this clip here of Dirty introducing the Sit Down Marks Championship.
What we're doing here is, as the list you just seen, we all picked the winners of who we thought was going to be the winner of each match. So I come up, there's 21 matches. Just so you guys know, I dropped off the two Royal Rumble or the Rumble matches, Battle Royals, whatever. I dropped those two off, and Primo he let me know that I forgot about the Pete Dunne match. So the Pete Dunne match, who's Pete Dunne wrestling? I forget. Oh shoot. Anyway, we'll come back to it. Yeah, what's going on, man? I can't remember. But
I know that I had him winning.
yeah. So that match wasn't on there. So next week, what we're going to do is we're going to come back here on our show after Mania. Whoever got the most matches right is going to be our pay-per-view King champion. Now, I have a trophy for that winner. I'm going to unveil next week to whoever ends up winning. So stay tuned for that next week. So we're going to do this for all the big four pay-per-views. So whoever wins this trophy will hold it until what's the next one? Survivor or SummerSlam?
SummerSlam.
Yeah. So you'll hold this until SummerSlam. So we're going to put this little trophy is going to be on the line every time we have a Big Four. So whoever wins this one will take it all the way to SummerSlam. So anyway, we're just going to run through the matches here and just kind of talk about these here a little bit. So I'll also too, guys, I want to tell you, out of 21 matches that we all picked, okay, only 3 matches did we all pick the same.
Really?
Oh wow! I figured it'd be more than that.
Only 3 matches we all picked the same. And as we go through those, I'll tell you those. I'm gonna give you a few little excerpts. I'm not gonna tell you who picked what every match because I kind of want it to be a surprise when we get there.
So how about that? You got this concept of all of us picking the WrestleMania matches. And apologies from all of us here, Sit Down Marks. None of us could remember that Pete Dunne was actually wrestling Kushida that weekend. However, the weekend took off and we all made our picks. So we were waiting patiently to find out who it was who had the most picks correct to become the first ever Sit Down Marks champion. Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers here, but if you kept up the show up to this point, then you would already know that answer. But I'll let you find out, just as we found out in this clip of Dirty announcing the winner in this nail-biter of an ending that came down to 2 people, all the way down to the time limit that we had put on the Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair match.
21 matches. We all got to pick who was going to win each match. So I'm going to just say that it ended up being very, very close between everybody that's here today. Ziggy did not win. I'll talk about him in just a second. But so I wanted to come up with a trophy, right? So we're going to put this trophy up. Whoever wins this thing tonight has to put it up at each Big Four pay-per-view. So the next time it had to be is
SummerSlam.
Right here.
SummerSlam. It'll be the next one. So whoever wins, we'll put that up. We'll do the picks again for SummerSlam. If they retain, they get to keep the trophy. If they lose, they have to ship it to the winner. So that's the deal.
Fair enough.
All right. So in looking for a trophy, I scoured the land far and wide. I ran up on some things, that, I thought would be good. But, I thought the first time I see something that reminds me of wrestling, that's what I'm going to choose. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the official trophy of Sit Down Marks. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kurt Angle.
That's awesome. That's cool. It's like a slammy.
That is what you covet, boys, right there. The Kurt Angle.
That's amazing.
Sit Down Marks pay-per-view champ right there.
That's so cool.
It's an America trophy.
Is that not great or what, right?
That is amazing. I love it.
All right, so let's talk about who won this deck, I think. So there it is. Yep. One of us 3 are going to bring that thing home. All right, so as you guys know, the last few days, I've texted both of you to make sure your picks matched my picks. I went back to make sure I recorded them all right. Anything I could have done, I did. The only thing I faulted was I meant to send one of you guys my picks. But being an honest guy, I'll show you everything how it went down. So let's talk about this. Here we go. Finishing in 4th place, we just talked about it. Not bringing the trophy home. For whatever reason, when a trophy is involved, Ziggy doesn't come to the plate very well. He's a great booker, man, but, so he's going to finish in 4th place with 10 wins.
Uh-oh.
So he got 10 out of 21, so good run there for
Good job, Ziggy.
All right, so that leaves us 3 here.
That doesn't give me any hopes.
I know, right?
All right, here we go. Ziggy had 10. Coming in third with 12, AJ. AJ's
Oh,
third.
come on!
AJ comes in third
And
place
oh man.
with 12.
Third place. Get out of here with your third place. I'm stealing the Kurt Angle.
All right, so it comes down to me and Primo. Here's where the big time drama unfolds, my friend. You got 13 right. I got 13 right.
Oh wow.
So
Oh.
came down to our tiebreaker. Let me talk about your 13 real fast here before we start.
Okay.
I'm gonna just talk about the ones that you missed. Let's talk about that. You didn't get EO. You didn't get GYV.
Right.
You didn't get Adam Cole. You didn't get McIntyre, Rollins, New Day, Edge, Asuka. But you got the last 5 right to end the night.
And I almost aced night 2 of NXT.
You almost aced night 2 of NXT.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk about the ones I missed. A little different. I missed El Legado. I missed Jordan Devlin. I missed The Way, McIntyre, New Day, Edge. I did great at the end of the night, but I didn't get Big E or Street Profits that you got. So anyway, so we ended up with 13 apiece. Okay. All right.
Okay.
The difference in the time between me and you, we'll double check it again, was 1 minute and 2 seconds.
No way, dude.
For both of you?
1 minute and 2 seconds between the time that he picked and the time that I picked. Okay, let me talk about this. You guys remember I said 2 of us went early, 2 of us went late, right?
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
well, the 2 that went early was AJ and Ziggy. AJ went 11 minutes, 45 seconds. Ziggy went 13
Wow.
minutes and 5 seconds. Okay. My official time of the match was 17 minutes, 17 seconds. Now, as soon as that bell hit, I hit the timer. But just to make sure, I want to make sure I was technically right because this was so close. I went and checked the official time. It was 17 minutes, 15 seconds. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, with that being said, my time was 23 minutes and 49 seconds. Primo was 22 minutes, 47 seconds. Primo's your winner. He wins the Kurt Angle off of a tiebreaker.
Yes.
Boo.
Boo this man.
Thank
Boo
you.
this man.
Thank you.
Boo earned.
So Primo's the winner. He's the first official Kurt Angle champ, sir. I'm
That
gonna
is
send
awesome.
I'm gonna send that to you on Friday. So that'll be on your way, brother. Congratulations. You're the
Thank
first
you.
winner of the Kurt Angle. I want this displayed proudly somewhere
Absolutely.
when you do the show so we can see
Yeah.
it. So
It needs like its own little pedestal.
It's
right
gonna
there.
sit right beside me. Yeah.
yeah. So
Every time it's like a
Primo-
guy that wins a Slammy. He always comes to the ring with it. Yeah.
Hearing it, yeah. So yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
how close it was, man. That's why I double checked with you guys. I'm like, make sure y'all got the same number I got because it was just that close.
That is
So
amazing.
and then it come down to me, and so yeah, so I'm watching the Belair Sasha match. I'm watching my stopwatch, and I'm like, go. The over. Like, take it.
Yeah.
So that was fun to watch, man. But congratulations, Primo.
Thanks, guys.
I will
Thanks.
send Kurt to you, my friend.
Good job to everybody else too. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
fun, man.
And it also made all of this past week more fun too. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did.
So there you go. Now you all know who the champ is. None other than yours truly, Primo. And since it's episode 20, I would just like to let all of you know that I've officially been champion for 98 days. That's 2 days from 100 for all you marks out there that want to figure out, this counting thing that I'm doing. But, however, moving forward, let's get into these best of dropkick discussions that we've had on the show here. I want to start out with one of the first ones we had AJ on for before he became our full-time third member of the show. and that was none other than the top 5 heels of all time. Now, this is our personal favorite opinion. They may not be the top on every top 5 list, but like I said, our top 5 heels of all time.
And we're going to talk heels, the bad guys, the sinister, the mean men, the conniving. Feel free to jump in, guys. Whatever.
The mean. No, I think we should go with mean.
Mean men.
The meanies.
All right, so we're going to talk. Top 5 heels, as we always do. So let's talk about it here, man. Like you said, yeah, sneaky, conniving. These guys cut a good promo.
Oh
They
yeah.
talk about your mom, your family. You know, they tried to break your leg. They
For
cheated to win all the time. Start us off, Primo. Number 5.
You just made me so happy about my list. Everything you just said.
Yep, me too.
Yep.
You said, cheating. You said good promo. I wanted to say it a second ago. Ultimate opportunist. The rated R superstar himself as my number 5. Edge is one of my, in my opinion, one of the greatest heels of all time. During his heel runs in the 2000s, just everything from everything he did on the mic. His multiple Money in the Bank cash-ins, the rated R strip show with Lita in the middle of the ring.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah.
Oh,
Basically, yeah. But Edge is my number 5. Ultimate
Okay.
opportunist. They don't call him that for nothing.
Right. Yep. You got to be a heel to get that done. All right, AJ, number 5.
So I have a tie for number 5 between. Well, they were in the same stable, so I thought it was okay to include them both. I have Mr. Perfect / Rick Rude as my number 5
nice.
heels of all time.
Okay.
Mainly because like as a kid, it's weird. Like you go back and watch like wrestling that you watched as a kid, and back then I loved Mr. Perfect, but I thought he was annoying, and Rick Rude made me laugh just because he always had wacky stuff on his tights, and
Right. Yeah.
like I remember I would sit there and do like the swivel hips, and my older sister would be like, "You're an idiot. What are you doing?"
Right. I know.
And like the little baby AJ just going.
I love Rick Rude. I have a Rick Rude T-shirt.
I want a Rick Rude T-shirt.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Perfect was I always loved Mr. Perfect for some reason. I don't know why. It's just one of those wrestlers that I just kind of attached to as a kid.
Yeah.
And yeah, going back, I like him as a heel even more. Like he was fantastic. And of course they were both with Bobby Heenan, which also made me like them both a little bit more. So those are my
Right.
5.
When I think vignettes, of pumping up wrestlers, I always think of the ones of Mr. Perfect. He would throw the football and then they would show him catching it. He would shoot. You just keep hitting
It's
shots.
like going up the stadium stairs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Play pool and
Yeah, the famous GIF of him throwing the towel up in the air and Heenan catching it. You know what I mean? It's like the gum. Yeah. Good pick there. All right, my number 5. I'm gonna start off hot here because I feel like I had to include him in my top 5. Number 5 is You've Got No Chance.
Oh.
No chance.
I didn't even think about him.
I almost.
And you're right, though. You're
You
correct.
gotta have him in, man. The Boss is one of the biggest heels of all time, man. Vinnie Mac, man, Vince McMahon. He runs a show so he can do whatever he wants. I always go down as saying the Attitude Era is not the same without Vince because he, the rivalry with Stone Cold. Everybody loves seeing Stone Cold punching Mac in the hospital. So he's got to be on the list, man. He's the boss. He can do what he wants to. He can, he can screw the baby faces, and, he ticks off the crowd. He got everybody booing with just one word. And, yeah.
Kiss my butt club.
Yeah, so
I thought I was going to be the only one to be good today.
nope, everybody check. All right, we're good. Back to even. So my number 5, you got to have Vince McMahon on the list, so I had to get him on there, man. So I'm going to talk about later somebody that didn't make my list, but I'm going to tell you why. But anyway, number 5. So, all right, Primo, number 4.
Number 4, one of the best guys on the mic, Y2J, Chris Jericho. He's one of the best heels. Back to the basically. He was more of a early in his WWF run and end of WCW run. He was more of a, I can't say the word because I don't want to curse, but he was a chicken heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So for a long time, and then he became more serious when he did the business suit thing. But altogether, he's always been a big heel, great on the mic, can really cut somebody down in a promo.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he's one of my favorites, so that's why he's on the list.
Nice. AJ?
Number 4, I have Jake the Snake Roberts.
I'm going to second that because that's my number 4 as well. So we'll both talk about it.
Really?
Yep.
Look at us go with our stuff.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. So Jake the Snake Roberts. He uses words like avarice, and he uses them quietly in his promos. That's amazing. I remember I looked up the word avarice when I was a kid because I had no idea what it meant, but I was terrified of it because Jake the Snake said, even though I don't think he said avarice when he used his face. But anyways, and then once he turned heel with his program with Macho, which that's still one of my favorite feuds of all time, even though it kind of like fizzled out there in the end. But remember the snake bite angle?
Oh, absolutely.
The snake bit Macho.
Yeah, where they had him up in the ropes. Yeah.
And the snake bit Macho. That's one of my favorites.
He does a really good Macho impression, by the way.
Who Jake the Snake does?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because he's told the story of the day that he was going to have him, the snake bite him, and he goes into the locker room, and Macho's like, "That thing got fangs, man."
Yeah. Jake took a bite. He made
Jake bite. Yeah.
Jake, that's right.
Yeah. Yep. Great story. Love it.
Speaking of Jake, go ahead. Sorry, go back to what you were saying. I was just gonna say back to my number 4, Chris Jericho. He said in an interview that when he did the 2007-2008 run with the business suit when he became world champion again, he channeled Jake the Snake because he told him, he watched his promos and he realized that Jake was quieter, so the crowd had to listen. Mm-hmm. And also he used a vocabulary that the crowd didn't understand, so it pissed him off.
Sure.
So that type of stuff.
Yep. Calculated. You think sneaky, conniving, what I said, sinister, talk about your family, tried to hurt you, threw the snake on you after the match after he beat you, like to add insult to injury. And like AJ said, man, one of the biggest promos ever, or best heel promos, man. Yeah, absolutely. Loved it. Loved Jake the Snake, man. Love it. All right, well, that's number 4 is out of the way, so let's go top 3. Hey, Jay, let's start with you, man. Top 3. No, or number 3.
So I was going to try and do the voice right now, but I realized that I had neighbors, and I was going to yell it. Number 3, you can smell what the Rock is cooking. Thank you.
What the Rock
is
cooking. Wait, I can do the eyebrow.
Yeah.
I learned how to do that when I was a kid, too, just because I love The Rock so much.
Absolutely.
So, The Rock is number 3. Obviously, he's also an amazing babyface. So, the reason why The Rock is number 3 on my heels list is because even his, heel jokes are funnier than anyone else in wrestling ever, pretty much. And he would chide the audience for laughing at his jokes, which is my favorite thing ever. He'd be like, don't laugh at The Rock's jokes.
Yeah, my favorite one is if you're so mad, just didn't sing along with The Rock.
Yeah, nobody asked you to sing on me. Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes I still when I'll say something funnier and my brother will laugh, I'll still be like, "Oh, don't laugh at The Rock's jokes."
Right? Yeah.
It's like an ongoing
thing. It doesn't matter.
Corporate Rock was a big heel. Nation Rock, the Domination
Nation
was a
Rock.
big heel. Yeah, Rocky Maivia. Yep.
Rocky Maivia. We try not to think about that rock, but the rest
Right.
of the rocks were
Yeah.
fantastic.
The rest
So
of the
that's number
rocks.
3. The
All
rocks.
right.
The plethora of rocks.
The many rocks.
Right. Primo, number 3.
Number 3, you're talking about guys who attack people's family. Who remembers when he handcuffed Triple H and kissed his wife in front of him, and then RKO'd her? Randy Orton. But so he did that. But not only that, Randy Orton's one of my favorites. He didn't make my top 5, but he was my honorable mention. He just was outside my top. He was there, and I took him off.
Right.
But because I like heels, I'm a heel guy. I haven't really established that on the show because you're the heel guy. But to me, he has, since his career started, he's been such a heel for so long. He's one of the guys that was such a good heel that you end up loving him.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
You know,
Stone Cold. Perfect
right?
example.
Exactly. So that's why he's my number 3. He's also one of my favorites. He's a great heel.
Yep.
And he's one of those guys, like he's nasty. He attacked Triple H's wife.
Yep.
You know, stuff like pretty sure he RKO'd Mae Young once, our Legend Killer.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure.
Really
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was safe.
Yeah.
All right. Well, kind of staying along that same type of genre, my number 3, boys, it's time to play the game. Triple H.
The King of Kings.
Yeah, man, this dude was dirty.
Triple H.
You know, the sledgehammer. You know, he doped up Stephanie and married her in the drive-through.
Yep.
You know, he
The
ruined.
cerebral assassin.
Yeah, he ruined the wedding.
that they wouldn't do today.
Right. Yeah. He won the. he ruined the wedding with Test and.
Tess, yeah.
So yeah. So I
Test.
mean, he's a nasty heel, man. He's you know, with DX, you know, he was a heel for a while before they got over. You know,
Evolution.
I think you can't talk about. Yeah. I mean, we could go on, man. Triple H.
I mean, he used to. I remember. There's so many times I think I can. Whatever faction with he was. I think Evolution, where they tied once they tied up Kevin Nash in the ropes and beat the crap out of him in the sledgehammer. They did the same thing to Goldberg. They did the same thing to Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
If you hear me.
Yeah. Yep. Big bad booty daddy as you hook up.
That's right. The big bad.
All right, boys, let's go. Top 2. Primo, start us off. Top 2.
Top 2. Surprise you old timers didn't say this yet. The rowdy one, Roddy Piper.
Aha.
So, I mean,
All right,
obviously.
Let's pause right there. AJ, is your number 2 Roddy?
No, my number 4 was Roddy, but I crossed him off and put Jake the Snake.
All right, well, I'm with Primo. My number 2 is Roddy Piper as well.
Right.
Yep.
If anybody, I mean,
Read that
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Roddy Piper.
He was one of those guys, everybody hated him. Like, you hated him.
Yep, you hated him. He could talk. He could kick your ass. You
Yeah.
know, he was on so many different. Like how many big things happened at Piper's Pit in wrestling?
Right.
Like a ton. You know what I mean?
And he's
He was-
like one of the guys they legit have to escort out of the arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
People hate him.
so much that
Yeah.
he gets punched and stuff like that.
Here's your perfect scenario of a guy that never needed the belt. You know, when they needed a face to get them over, Roddy got in the ring with them, and he's one of the best ever. There was a list that came out not long ago where WWE put top heels of all time, and Roddy was number 1 on their list.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yep.
Did he ever hold any belt? He had the IC title once, didn't he?
IC title, but not no world titles. Not any world titles. And I'm not even sure about IC. I want to say he did at some point, but I know he won some tag belts and smaller belts. But all right, AJ, who you got number 2?
Woo! Of course, number 2.
Right.
Ric Flair.
Ricky.
Obviously, the only reason that he's not number 1 is because of someone we've already talked about, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
But Ric Flair, what can you say? I mean, he's the greatest of all time ever. Just his whole persona, everything about Ric Flair. he was garbage as a babyface. But even garbage babyface Flair is better. Like he's just a natural heel, like with the shock blonde hair, and like everything about him just screams heel, and he was a perfect heel. He was the best.
Jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun. Got the Rolexes.
That's right. The alligator shoes, the $50,000 watch.
He was in your face about it.
Yep.
Yes, he was.
All right. Let me add to that. So let's start at 5 and go all the way to 1. I'll start it off. 5 was Vince McMahon. 4 was Jake the Snake. 3 Triple H. 2 Roddy Piper. My number 1, the dirtiest player in the game. Yep, Ric Flair. He's every girl wanted him. Every guy hated him. Everybody wanted to be him. We just got to talk about him. Starrcade '85 was right after. Was the big blow off between him and Dusty when right after he broke his leg. One of the hugest storylines in history, and it was at the hands of Ric Flair. He's done so much in the business as a heel. I can't pick anybody else but him, number 1. So.
He wants to take a ride on Space Mountain.
That's right, man. Yep. Longest or oldest ride in the park, but still has the longest line. Yep, that was it. Diggler said, the Flair experience was him stripping naked on WCW. Yeah, I swear he was probably drunk that night, and he was just taking his clothes off, slapping his chest. He was elbowing his pants, and So, all right, Primo, 5-1.
5. We got the Rated R Superstar Ultimate Opportunist Edge. Number 2, we got Y2J, Chris Jericho himself, the first undisputed champion, mind you. He's kind of like my stats. Me and him have a lot in common. I'm the first sit-down Marks champion. He's the first undisputed champion. Number 3, we got the legend killer himself, Randy Orton. 2, we have Roddy Piper. Number 1, let me get a couple of rowdies here, and I'll show you Stone Cold is the best heel ever. He was actually the first one that, for me, that when I say that I love Randy was a heel for so long, he grew on me. I ended up loving him. Stone Cold was the first one for me like that. And for everyone, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Arguably the biggest wrestler ever.
Yeah.
All right, AJ, wrap us up.
So, number 5, Mr. Perfect, and just going to do that. Number 4, Jake the Snake Roberts. Number 3, The Rock. Number 2, Ric Flair. And number 1, which we've talked about him already, my favorite heel of all time, Y2J, Chris Jericho.
Can't argue that, man.
He can get anything over. I think he's the best talker, probably not ever, but he's up there. Like, if you talk about Mount Rushmore of, wrestlers, he would be on there for me. He would be in like the George Washington spot for me. He got a pen and a clipboard over, and he can do anything. And I think he's one of the most creative talkers. And like Primo said, he can insult anybody. He can insult the fans, insult the wrestlers, and everyone just loves him for it more. And he also would go very well. Actually, I'm not going to say that right now because I'm assuming we're going to save that for another time. But my number 1 of all time, Y2J, Chris Jericho, the first undisputed champion.
Hey,
right,
AJ.
I was going to say too, real quick. Jericho's one of those guys that could probably make top 5 heel or baby faces.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
AJ, right. You know what happens when you have the same guy as me on your list?
Do you? Do you know what happens?
You just made the list.
There was one time where he was talking to the SNL guys. They do Weekend Update.
Yeah.
They were cutting a promo, and Chris Jericho came up, and he was like, "You're gonna get."
Yeah.
And then he slowly walked out of frame. But then he emerged into frame.
He comes back,
on the other side, and which means he walked out, went around the cameraman, and came back in from the other side. That's brilliant.
Yeah, you will never ever again. So there it is. top 5 heels of sit down marks. We enjoyed that. Our marks were Chris Jericho. And we immediately went on to the next episode and had to flip a 180 because we had to come up with our list of top 5 baby faces. That's what will come up next right here on Sit Down Marks. Enjoy as you get to hear our top 5 baby faces.
We're going to talk about baby faces. All right, so why don't you, AJ, start us off? Number 5, your top baby face. Now, this is a guy, everybody loved him. Everybody was always behind him. Sold a lot of merch. Always went up against the big, nasty, heel. The baby face was always a good talker, always a good seller in the ring. Made the women cry when he got beat up. Made the old ladies hit the nasty heels with their pocketbooks because they were beating up on the baby faces. So that's what we're looking for. So here we go, AJ. All right, buddy, start us off. Number 5, man. Who you got?
With their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
Well, first, number 6, honorable mention, my pen, which I
always have
yet to drop.
Heel
So,
pen.
number 5, one of my number 5 favorite babyface of all time. He was number 1 on my list of heels, so that's how good he is. Chris Jericho, Y2J. Chris Jericho, my number 5.
Break the wall down.
Just like I remember, like the Lion Tamer, which I wish he still did, was like the coolest looking submission move like ever. Like, and just everything about Y2J, like the way he talked, like in his in-ring, abilities, like he was just outstanding. Like he's either face or heel, in this case face. He's just one of the best ever.
Yep, totally agree. Primo, number 5.
Number 5. I do like AJ's pick there. I purposely made a conscious decision, though, to not put any of my heels on my babyface list, even though they could flip. However, maybe one of your guys' heels is on my list. Anyway, number 5, I don't know if you guys thought about him. He's always, I'd say 95% of the time, he's been a babyface. And he is the biggest little man himself. Y'all remember when they called him that? Rey Mysterio. I mean, come on. He's awesome. He is always a fan favorite.
Yeah, he's been a face. I hardly can remember ever him being a heel.
Except when he was unmasked in WCW
when he teamed up with was it Chavo Guerrero or Billy Kidman? One of those where they were the Dirty Dogs, and
they wasn't for the Filthy Animals, was he? Anyway, yeah, I think that's the only time when he was unmasked. But besides that, he's always been a face.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
And Rey Mysterio, he's one of the greatest of all time, and that's why he's my number 5.
Okay. All right, so let me start off before I start with my number 5. I know we all come from different genres of wrestling, so this one's going to be a little weird. I normally don't say, an honorable mention, and I'm going to break out this honorable mention, and you guys are going to kind of be like, oh, wow. But I think he just deserves to be said. He did not make my top 5, but number 6, not Bob Backlund, Shawn Michaels. Number 6.
Okay.
He was a great face. I just don't think he could make my top 5. But too big of a face not to. But anyway, my number 5, you guys know what kind of wrestling I grew up on. My number 5, this guy, outside of a couple other guys on my list, I would say probably the third biggest baby face in probably WCW NWA history. Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express. This dude could sell. He checks all the boxes of what I just talked about. Women loved him. Guys envied him. He sold like a maniac. He had a great feud with ended up being with all the big heels. After when he kind of went on his single run. So for me, number 5, Ricky Morton. AJ, start us off with number 4s.
So first, I want to say that when I was making this list, I thought for sure, Dirty, that you would put all of the Rock and Roll Express on your list, like every single one of them. So the fact that you stuck with just one shows great. So
I was gonna ask you if you got that link I sent you about him and his son. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Son Kerry. Yeah, they have a school together, the Morton School of Wrestling, and and Kerry's he's kind of breaking out like in the zone. That was a really cool story. They were tag champs together. Probably in Ricky's promotion. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Cool. I love the belts though, that red and silver.
Oh yeah. Okay. So number 4.
Number 4.
So there are 2 wrestlers on here from my childhood that just are the reason why I love wrestling so much. And number 4 is one of them, and it is Ricky Steamboat. Probably not a surprise that would be on my list at all. You know, he was like the good guy.
Yeah.
Like right when I started watching wrestling as a kid, it was Ricky Steamboat. You know, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and then he went to WCW, and nice.
Yeah.
And so then I didn't switch promotions, but I kind of started paying more attention to WCW when I was a kid because I knew that Ricky Steamboat was then there. Like that's how much I liked him, is that I would switch back and forth depending on where he was.
Yeah, Ricky checked all the boxes. He was tan. He was Asian. The girls loved him. You know, he had the greatest hip toss in wrestling history. You know, I mean, you know, he had the family aspect going for him. He was never a heel that I can remember. You know, this guy's commitment to wrestling was this. When he was the Dragon in WWF, right before he walked to the ring, he carried this gas-like substance in his mouth for his whole ring walk all the way till his music. He went around the ring, got up on the post to blow the fire. That's how dedicated this guy was to wrestling, man. Like there's stories I've read. Yeah, there's stories I've read where like he had all kind of mouth problems because he was doing this every day, if not every other. You know what I'm saying? And he had to take all kind of antibiotics. And and then so I mean, he fit the whole bill. That's why Ricky Steamboat wrestled Ric Flair 5 billion times in this world, because the ultimate baby face versus the ultimate heel. Like that's wrestling 101. He's on my list, so I mean it's legit. Primo, number 4, buddy.
Good.
Number 4. So you can go. I'm not talking about today's version. I'm not even necessarily talking about late 90s version. I'm more talking about from Venice Beach, Sting, blonde hair Sting. I mean, come on. I don't even need to say a whole lot about it. You know, say, oh!
Yeah.
Chest beating, the Stinger splash, like all of it. Like it's Sting. Even whenever he did turn into the Crow, depressed Sting, he was still a face there too, technically. But that iteration where in the late '80s and early '90s, it was awesome. Women loved him. I mean, everybody wanted to be him. I remember he used to be so jacked, like jacked.
Yeah.
Whenever he used to tag with Ultimate Warrior.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, like I actually don't remember that because I'm not like you guys. But
Dingo Warrior, he was Dingo Warrior. Man.
Yeah.
Dingo Warrior.
But yeah, so Sting is my number 4, and that's old Sting, classic Sting.
Another thing about Sting too, man, I want to say he had a freaking cool haircut. It was a cool color. He looked like a surfer. He had, he was big and jacked. He had bright color tights. Bright yellow, bright red, bright blue with the big scorpion.
He would do the theme paint. He did the red, white, and blue for Great American Bash.
Yes. Yeah, love it, man, love it. All right, my number 4. We talked about him lately. He's probably I probably say he's right there with Ricky Steamboat as the two biggest baby faces in NWA history. The American Dream, baby. Dusty Rhodes. Nine with kings and queens. Then eat cans of pork and beans. Baby.
Perfect. I mean, yeah.
I love Dusty, man. He's
Yeah.
a green elbow pad. They the Four Horsemen broke his leg like late 80s. Starcade was the blow off of that in 85. You would have thought the president got shot where I was from. Dusty was royalty. All those daggum horsemen, they broke his leg, and it was a big deal. Dusty, he was the booker a lot during that era, so he booked himself as the baby face, the second most recognizable athlete in the entire world, is what he used to say, next to Muhammad Ali. So
that's 5 impressions, by the way, that you've done.
God, that's awful. What is going on today? Anyway, all right, what?
What did you think about Polka Dot Dusty? Back in WWF days. What did you think? Like his feud with what was it, Honky Tonk Man?
Honky Tonk, yeah. Jay, yeah. I thought it was a rib. That's my best guess. Just from everything that I've ever read, collected, heard, opinions, I thought it was a rib. I think it was he wanted to do this common man gimmick, so he's like, oh, what's more common than polka dots?
Nothing. Absolutely.
Nothing. 6 impressions. God dang it. Yes. All right, so anyway, but yeah, so Dusty was just ultimate baby face, yeah. All right, top 3. AJ, who you got? Number 3.
Look in my eyes. What do you see? Personality. CM Punk.
CM Punk. CM. I love being in Chicago chanting that. It's like it's adrenaline, man. It's adrenaline.
Yes.
I want all of us 3 to be at a pay-per-view and CM Punk surprises. We mark out like little ladies. Oh my God.
I would cry like a child. I would get the vapors and I would cry like a child.
Yeah.
One Chick Magnet Punk, who he was a great heel too.
Mm-hmm.
But as a babyface, there's only been a couple more guys in the past 20 years that have been more over as face CM Punk. And being from the mean streets of Chicago as I am, or slightly south of Chicago, how could CM Punk not be on this list? So my number 3 is CM Punk.
He's been gone since 2013. They still chant his name.
Still.
Yep.
Any show.
Later.
Yeah, any show.
Not just in Chicago either. Like in Pittsburgh, they chanted, and it's amazing.
Money in the Bank, one of my favorite pay-per-views. Cena versus.
He steals the title.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. That's good shit.
That was the last one. He had the kill switch entrance.
6 impressions. Yeah. Anyway, move on. Number 3.
Dirty's honorable mention. My number 3. I had to get somebody from Texas on my list. HBK, Shawn Michaels. Not so much 90s. Not so much like 2000 because that's whenever he was ready to leave. But when he came back for his second run in the business.
Not that mullet, Sean.
When he got his smile back.
When he got his smile back. When he started getting on his knees and, the whole thing. From then on, that whole face run, he made you, especially with that feud with, I don't want to get into this too much because it'll be on, we'll talk about this next week, but the initial rivalry with his best bud, Triple H, just made you feel for him,
Yep.
Spoilers.
Right. So that's my number 3 is Shawn Michaels.
All right, number 3, we've already talked about him, so we'll move on. Ricky Steamboat for me, number 3. AJ, number 2. Top 2, boys.
I was going to say, I was saying, when you said nobody else has gotten over like CM Punk, that's exactly what I thought about.
Yeah.
This would be one of the one or two that have gotten over.
Yeah.
CM Punk, Daniel Bryan. So, as a wrestling fan, you tend to go through phases. Like sometimes where you ignore it a little bit just because the product's not very good. Dave Bautista's getting a huge push for reasons you can't figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Bryan, the whole Yes movement, that kind of brought me back into wrestling.
It was organic as organic gets.
Yep. It was so organic. Like they couldn't deny it. Like they changed the main event of, was it WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans that year? And that's still one of my favorite WrestleMania matches. When Daniel Bryan wins both titles and taps out Batista.
Yep.
And plus, just your classic underdog babyface. Like, the entire company was against him. He got all the fans on his side. He was, everyone loved him. And
in that pay-per-view, he had to beat Triple H first.
Yeah. That was the first match of the night. Yeah. Yep.
Worked on his shoulder. He comes out in the main event. His shoulder's all wrapped up.
All taped and, yep.
My favorite move, the RKO Batista Ball.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was that night, wasn't it?
I love that.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. So, yeah, Daniel Bryan, one of the greatest of all time. My number 2 was almost my number 1, but I put him at number 2.
Number 2.
What do you think, Primo?
Number 2 for Primo. Finally!
The
Rock has come back to Primo's list. He made it to my list. He can be acknowledged just like me. And he is one of the greatest faces of all time. Obviously, the most electrifying man on the planet in sports and entertainment.
You just call him electronic.
Electrifying. Electronic.
Electronic man.
I am B-Rock.
Finally.
The most electrifying man.
Come back to Primo's list.
So,
you smell
everything. He make you laugh. He has the mic skills to be both heel and face. He's got all of the millions and millions behind of The Rock's fans. So, he's the people's champ. Come on.
Yep.
That's my number 2.
All right. My number 2, boys. There's really only 2 when it comes to baby faces. Is for me. So, this guy, one of the biggest baby faces. Hang on, I'm trying to cue up his music here. It's not working too well.
I was about to say, what was that?
Yeah, never mind. Anyway, whatever. All right, so number 2 for me, the real American Hulk Hogan, baby.
Boo.
I know, but this guy, he was the biggest baby face in the 80s. He took the belt off the Sheik. He beat Andre. Like, what else? What this guy to do? He's number 2, man.
The Silver Dome, brother.
Hulk must pose. Yeah, Silver Dome, brother.
Grandstanding and hot dogging.
That's right. All right, let's start with our number 1s. AJ, go from 5 to 1. Here we go.
So, number 5, Chris Jericho. Number 4, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, which I didn't know that about his fire stuff. As a kid, I just thought he was magical. Number 3, Chick Magnet Punk. Number 2, Daniel Bryan. And number 1, which the whole entire reason why I love wrestling. We've already talked about him, so I won't go into it much. A man called Sting. My favorite babyface of all time, for all the reasons that, Primo, you already mentioned. And then even when he turned into Crow Sting, I thought he was just awesome. Like, he had that's
like, I thought he was awesome. Like, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. He reinvented himself, man. It was really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
That's still my favorite look of any wrestler of all time is Sting.
The Crow is actually one of me and my older brother's favorite movies too. So.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Brandon Lee.
Nice.
Yeah, Brandon Lee. Yeah.
Brandon Lee. Yep.
Brandon Lee.
All right, Primo, who you got up the top?
That was. Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
AJ?
go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, I got Rey Mysterio. 4, Sting. 3, Shawn Michaels. 2, The Rock. Number 1. So he sucks at being a heel. And I can only really remember the one time he was a heel in TNA. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. You know it's Jeff Hardy. Get out of here.
Of course. We saw this from a mile away.
I know, exactly. It's no secret.
Yeah.
He is a terrible heel, though.
Yeah, he is a terrible heel. Great baby
Unless
face.
he's Willow, in which case he's a great heel.
All right.
We need to bring back Willow.
For me, number 5, Ricky Morton, Dusty Rhodes at 4, Ricky Steamboat 3, Hulk Hogan 2. Number 1, this guy don't know how to be a heel. He's the biggest face in the history of wrestling. You know, he does all the Make a Wish. There's no bigger baby face in the history of wrestling than this guy right here, man. Whether you like it or not, man, John Cena. It's John Cena, man.
You're absolutely right.
He is, man. He is. Dude's done it all, man. Dude's done it all. So that is our top 5 baby faces. That was a fun discussion, man. It's always fun to see where everybody comes at different angles.
I prefer the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Yeah.
And that's actually the truth.
That was best thing, actually.
As you can tell, we really enjoyed baby faces and heels. Some of our lists were similar, and we went on from there. We decided that we needed to come up with our top 5 managers or valets. Now, managers and valets can be both heels and baby faces. So enjoy, as you now will hear our dropkick discussion on managers and valets.
All right, so let's talk our top 5 managers of valets. So quick little, let's go to this real quick. This is just our top 5 favorite manager of valets. Now, these are the managers and valets that would cheat to help their heel or face person win. You know, they would get in the way and take bumps sometimes. You know, they would make you hate. You know, the managers would make you hate their heel wrestlers that they were with, or love their babyface wrestlers that they were with. So your top 5 favorites. So we're going to go from 5 to 1. And then I got a little list of some that don't end up making the list. You just made the list. AJ.
You just made the list.
All right, here we go. Oh, touche. All right. Here we go. All right.
And if you have a manager or valet that you want to mention in the chat, feel free to do so.
Yeah, man. As we start top 5 here, let us know what you think in the chat.
Also, Dirty, before we begin, I not only did I make my top 5, but look at this. We got Dirty's top 5 right there. I made a little guessy guess to see how accurate. I mean, we've known each other a long time, so
okay, yeah.
See how close I am. I'm guessing 2 out of 5. Nope.
Okay.
3 out of 5.
Yeah, 3 is probably safe. All right off the bat, Undead Lumberjack comes in with Jimmy Hart at number 5. So, all right, so as soon as we get done with this, I'll go back and we'll compare with what AJ got with me and see how it is. So, who wants to start us off, man? Top 5. Start at 5.
I'll start off.
All right, Primo.
Unless you just want to go, AJ, that's fine. But I will start. It doesn't matter if you want to start.
I about choked on my rowdy right here.
First off, I have an honorable mention. My honorable mention, she did not make my top 5.
Okay.
She was a valet for Savio Vega. She was also a member of Team Extreme.
EC Dope.
And her name is Lita.
Lita.
She's an honorable mention. She didn't make my top 5.
I would put her on your top 5 had I made a list for you as well.
My top 5, though, number 5 does start out with, let me holler at you, player, Teddy Long. Holla. He started out as a referee.
Yep.
And after that, he managed a ton of wrestlers in Jim Crockett Promotions, WCW, went on to manage people like D'Lo Brown, Rodney Mack, Mark Henry, Jazz, went on to become, and then afterwards he went on to become one of the best GMs in history of WWE. My number 5 is
a tag
team match.
Yep.
The Undertaker.
The Undertaker.
So my number 5 is Teddy Long.
All right. AJ, number 5.
So I also have an honorable mention. He would have maybe made the top 5 if I had more exposure to him. Not much though. It is Colonel Robert Parker. He was the like Southern dandy fop, like the leghorn kind of guy.
He looked like he had the Colonel Sanders suit on.
Yeah, the white suit. Always
you love seeing this guy get the crap beat out of him. He was that good.
Yep. Loved that guy, but didn't put him on the list because I didn't have that much exposure to him. However, number 5, Dirty, you'll know. That's kind of an obscure one. You'll know who it is. Primo, I hope you know who this is. The genius of glory and renown, Lanny Poffo.
Lanny Poffo, Macho's brother.
Love Macho's brother, which they never brought up at all.
The genius.
Loved the genius. He would get into the ring and he wrote all of those little stupid poems that he would read. He had the little scroll, and he wore a mortarboard and
the graduate outfit
gown. It was fantastic, and he was all weird and eccentric, and he was great though. I loved Lanny Popoff. And by the way, he should have been the one that introduced or inducted Macho Man into the Hall of Fame, not Hulk Hogan.
Totally agree.
So my number 5 is Lanny Poffo. He did a lot. He managed the Beverly Brothers, and I don't think of who. I think he was with Mr. He was with Mr. Perfect for a while. But he was great.
And then he had that show of he had his own little show, kind of like Piper's Pit. It was something like that. So. All right, well, I'm going to start with my number 5. I come from the Deep South wrestling, of NWA, WCW, all that kind of stuff. Look, I got a ton of honorable mentions, and I'm going to just read them off at the end if none of these are on anybody's list. So, all right, let me preface this with saying first that any selections made in my top 5 is based on wrestling only, not anything outside of wrestling, anything that Twitter has caused. Anything, this is wrestling based only. So number 5 for me is the manager of the Midnight Express, Jim Cornette. He's one of the baddest heels ever. You love seeing him take bumps. One of my best childhood memories is seeing him fall off the scalpel in Starrcade '85 when the Road Warriors threw him off. He took a big bump. He always carried this tennis racket. Yeah, it was, he was synonymous with Midnight Express. He talked about his mama and being the greatest thing on earth. Yep, in her kitchen. Yep. So he was great, man. He was probably, Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express to me is, one of the best feuds ever. But Jim made that, the heel tactics and stuff like that. So Jim made that interesting, and he made you really hate him. So, all right, Primo, number 4.
Number 4. So she's the only woman that didn't make my top 5. She managed the likes of Randy Savage for a time being. She managed HBK Shawn Michaels, and she managed one of my favorite tag teams of all time, Harlem Heat. That's Sherry Martel. And not only did she manage great talent, but she was a heel manager, and she loved to get her hands dirty. So she'd get in there.
Mm-hmm. I thought she was smoking hot too. I thought she was much hotter than Elizabeth. I really did. Hey, wait, hold on. Let me throw my notes. Okay, continue.
She was smoking hot like you'd love to meet her at a bar one night. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And hey, but I'm gonna say this. An exception of maybe one other guy on my list, Sherry bumped, man. Sherry bumped a lot, and she sold like a mother. Probably
she got in there, and she would, Sherry Martel, Sensational Sherry. She wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty.
Yep. All right, AJ, don't go next because my number 4 is Sensational Sherry as well. Number 4. Number 4, AJ. All right, let's see. 5.
For Sensational Sherry.
Okay. All right. Hey,
I think that's the first time we had a 3-way tie there.
all of this, yeah.
Well,
I think it is.
that was wild. Especially at the same number.
Sensational Sherry Martel. Scary Sherry, as some people like to call her.
Yeah. What a great manager she was.
She was great. She could talk too. She was a good promo.
Yeah.
Like, remember that promo that she had with Ultimate Warrior when she was trying to get Macho Man tag or a championship match, and she basically like was very suggestive and like got down on her knees in front of Ultimate Warrior. And Ultimate Warrior just being like rah 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 because he's Ultimate Warrior.
Back when they did the promos with Mean Gene on like that podium, it looked like they were standing in the middle of the crowd. You know what I mean?
In the crowd.
Yeah.
Undead Lumberjack says he had Sensational Sherry number 4 also.
All right, 4-way tie already.
4-way tie.
Oh my God.
Primo, number 3.
Number 3, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, not by a whole lot, but he had to make my list. He's one of the greatest of all time. The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. He managed them all. Hulk Hogan, Hart Foundation, Ted DiBiase, Honky Tonk Man. You can just keep going on that list.
Yeah. Anybody they needed made or get over, Jimmy Hart was
right.
Andre.
Yep, they threw him in there.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't like him though because he was with I had this like aversion to Honky Tonk Man. So when he was with Honky Tonk Man, I started hating him. I was like, oh my, his voice was obnoxious.
The bullhorn.
Yeah, megaphone. Yeah. And the thing about Jimmy too is Jimmy didn't. I mean, he didn't bump a whole lot. Jimmy was more that annoying.
Distraction.
Like little face distraction. You wanted to beat him over the face.
Like a little gnat.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Primo, number 3. AJ, number 3. AJ.
So number 3 for me, he only ever managed 1, maybe 2 that I can remember. Bill Moody, a.k.a. Percy Pringle, a.k.a. Paul Bearer.
Nice. Good one, man.
I was terrified of Paul Bearer when I was a kid. That was fantastic.
Third impression was worse. Second one was worse. Why are you throwing your list, Primo?
No, I'm kidding. Keep going.
Paul Bearer was great. Like, he had like the contorted facial features. He had that creepy high pitched voice.
He earned like,
yes. He was just great, and he was of course with the Undertaker, and he did manage Kane for a while.
Yeah.
And so that was during their whole feud, and he was just the best. He was because Undertaker at first was with who's the super red faced guy?
Buddy Love. Brother Love. Yeah.
Brother Love. That was such a weird pairing, and it like didn't make any sense. But then when he got Paul Bearer, it's like, okay, now this guy's like legit.
Yeah, made more sense. I didn't put Paul on my list just because he's freaking legendary, absolutely. But he was just kind of his almost like dad figure kind of. He didn't bump too much, nothing like that. So,
no, he didn't.
Yeah.
Got in the coffin once or twice.
Brother Love, what's his real name? Bruce
Pritchard.
Pritchard, thank you.
Bruce
All
Pritchard,
right.
yeah.
Undead Lumberjack, number 3, Paul Heyman. Pretty good.
Paul Heyman.
Not on my list, but definitely in there. All right, so me number 3, this is where my NWA comes into play. For me, number 3, he was the legendary manager of the Forcemen. So these guys right here. So my number 3, J.J. Dillon, the manager of the Four Horsemen. He led them. He talked, good. He always cut business deals. He would bring them back when they need to be brought back. He would sick them on the baby faces. So for me, it's J.J. Dillon, man, because, I mean, Four Horsemen is like a big part of my wrestling childhood. And J.J. Dillon was right there with him. He was basically the only manager ever, really. So, the only one kind of legit enough to me, I think, to kind of fit in that group. So for me, number 3, J.J. Dillon. Primo, number 2.
Number 2 for me was none other than Paul Bearer.
Okay.
But I actually do have one thing. He actually did manage 3 people that I know of, which the third one he did manage Mankind also. But
I forgot about that too.
For all the same reasons as AJ said, there's not much more we need to cover on that. I mean, AJ said everything perfectly about Paul Bearer. I specifically remember whenever it was after the Survivor Series where American badass Undertaker got buried alive by Kane, that he came back at WrestleMania 20, and then you just heard the voice come over to introduce the dead man back. So, yeah, Paul Bearer for sure. He's my number 2.
Okay. AJ?
So, number 2 is the same as Undead Lumberjacks. Number 3, and that would be Mr. Paul Heyman.
Okay.
I just think he's one of the best talkers in the history of the entire business. And like when you have someone like Brock Lesnar who is just it has everything except being able to talk. Lesnar.
Yeah.
When you have someone like Brock Lesnar, like all you need is someone like. This is why Paul Heyman is a necessity in this business, because he spoke for Brock. Like he kind of speaks for Roman, but not really. But he's basically just the best hype man ever. And plus, in ECW, like he wasn't a manager. Obviously, he was the owner, but he cut some of the best promos ever. And I love Paul Heyman. I think he has one of the best wrestling minds in the business. So that's why he is my number 2.
And he doesn't speak for Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns lets him speak.
Lets him speak, right? Yeah. Allows him to speak.
Even better.
All right, guys. My number 2, this is the last woman on my list. Probably the most famous woman, ballet, in wrestling history. It's Miss Elizabeth, man, with the macho. She didn't have to talk. She got it done out there in the ring when she needed to. We loved her. I don't remember ever really hating her ever. Like it was like I almost was always scared that she would get hurt or something like that. But man, but for me, what sticks is the storylines that Elizabeth was involved in wrestling that have stood the test of time.
They're all legendary.
Right? Yeah, they're all legendary. So for me, I had to have her in my top 2. So Miss Elizabeth, number 2. All right, Primo, started. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Really quick with Miss Elizabeth, I think you kind of nailed her like main appeal. Is that like she was like a deer in the headlights all the time. Which,
sure.
Like you just kind of wanted to like be protective of her the whole time. But yeah, okay, sorry. That's my little interjection.
All right, Primo. So start at number 5 and go all the way to 1 here with your top 5.
5 to 1, my top 5 favorite managers / valets of all time. Number 5, Theodore Long, Tay Long. Number 4, Sherry Martel, Sensational Sherry. 3, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Number 2, Paul Bearer. And number 1, I almost just said it. Paul Heyman, you can't see that, but Paul Heyman, or Paul E. Dangerously, whatever you want to call him, manages Roman Reigns. Actually, I'm sorry. He's currently Roman Reigns' special counsel.
Right.
He was the advocate for Brock Lesnar. He managed CM Punk, Big Show, Mean Mark Callis, which is The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. Also, the Dangerous Alliance. You can't forget about that.
Yep.
He is for exactly what AJ just said. What he does on the mic is bar none. Like,
Yeah.
It's amazing. And even I find myself every now and then I'll catch a highlight of like talking smack or something. And if he's on there talking to a wrestler, I'm glued. And because he talks to him, and he'll do this with any wrestler. It's almost like he's inspiring them or like coaching them all in one talk, but still telling them that Roman's better than them at the same time.
Right.
But no, he's great, and he's done. I mean, he's been a manager my entire time that I've been watching wrestling, so he had to be my number one.
Got it.
Oh, you can't forget ECW, of course.
Worm Rider said,
y'all
didn't say, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Well, Vicky G.
That's true.
All right, AJ, who you got? Number one.
So number 5, I had the genius Lanny Poffo. Number 4 was sensational Sherry Martel. Number 3, Paul Bearer. Number 2, Paul Heyman. And number 1, this right when you announced this category, boom, number 1, Bobby the Brain Heenan. Without question, jumped right into my mind. I'm like, he's my favorite of all time.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Not only did he have the best heels in his stable ever, he was so good at talking. He was so funny and so sharp, and like he could put over whoever he wanted just by being him. He got in the ring. He did some bumps. He fought the Red Rooster once, which was just amazing.
Yeah, we've seen this guy get stripped down to his underwear before. Like
like a woman to try to break back into main role.
Yeah. We love seeing Heenan is my number 1 as well. We love seeing him get beat up probably more than any manager ever.
Yeah.
Like when he took a bump, like you were like, oh yeah, get him, like yeah. So for me, 5 Jim Cornette, 4 Sensational Sherry, 3 J.J. Dillon, 2 Elizabeth, 1 Bobby the Brain Heenan. All right, guys, let me throw out some here real quick that we might have forgot about or didn't. Paul Ellering, the Road Warriors. Sonny,
Road Warriors.
She's been spoken about tonight.
She farted.
Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji. He was traded down, though.
Yeah. How about Captain Lou Albano? How about Gary Hart?
Him mainly.
Don't say from the Girls Just Want to Have Fun video.
I was gonna say from the Goonies Are Good Enough video.
Oh man. All right, and then also Brother Love, Slick, Baby Doll. You guys remember Baby Doll with Dusty and the Forest Man? Yeah, she went through all that. And then last but not least, you guys might not even know, but Paul Jones. He was the manager of Pistol Pez Watley, Baron Von Roski, the Barbarian. He was manager.
The Barbarian.
Yeah, Dutch Mantel. Yeah, there's another one too. Same state along those lines.
I was just about to say Dutch Mantel.
Yeah, awesome. Who was also we the people. All right, so that is our dropkick discussion. That was interesting, boys. That was fun.
So do you wanna hear who I did I guessed for your top 5? I got 3 right.
Okay.
So number 5, I thought you were going to put Paul Bearer. Number 4, I thought you were going to put Freddie Blassie. I thought you were going to include in there.
That's good.
Number 3, I nailed J.J. Dillon.
Sure.
Number 2, Jim Cornette. Number 1, Bobby Heenan. That's who I thought. So that was 3 out of 5. Yeah.
Very nice.
Bad.
Way to pigeonhole me, AJ. I'm just kidding.
You're welcome. I'll do it again.
How great was that discussion on managers and valets? Now, in episode 13, we discussed that we wanted to have an edition of the show on women's wrestlers. So this dropkick discussion coming up is our favorite women wrestlers of all time. It was great, it was lengthy, and we really enjoyed it, and you will too.
Our top 5 favorite women's wrestlers. So the criteria for this is a wrestler. Well, you can pick 5 that you just thought were hot.
I was about to say,
they can be your favorite.
The criteria that they're a woman.
Yeah, they're a woman.
That's it.
It could be
Santina is out of the running.
Santina's
he
probably
won,
out.
The women's battle royale.
Yes,
Wait,
he did.
so is what's his name out too? Old Chinsey Magoo. What was his name?
Oh,
Two
the no
fists
chin.
and a,
Where are we going with this?
Wow. The guy
What's
that
his-
has no chin.
yeah, no chin. Fought AJ.
He fought AJ Styles. He beat AJ
Oh,
Styles.
Carmella's dad,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
The one, the Money in the Bank.
Yes,
Yeah.
won
Yeah.
the
Why
first
can't none of us
female-
remember this dude's name?
Look
He's
his name
that
up.
forgettable.
Anybody in the chat remember his name?
What's his name?
He was
Starts
like
with
an indie wrestler, blonde hair.
He got
Yeah.
so big after that. Like he got.
Yeah, he was. So I'll let you go over that. So anyway, criteria for today: our top 5
Ellsworth.
favorite.
Ellsworth.
James
Thank you. There it is.
Thank you. So our top 5 favorite women's wrestlers. Any top 5 that you like to watch wrestle. Great promos. Maybe somebody you watched in the '90s who showed you puppies every Monday night or something like that. So
Gotta love
all
puppies.
right. Top 5 favorite women's wrestlers from any era, anytime. Our personal top 5 favorites. AJ, start us off. Number 5.
So before I get into number 5, I have an honorable mention. She's not a wrestler, but she's one of my favorites. This is one of my favorite spots ever. I'm going to go with Linda McMahon as an honorable mention, just for the time that she pretended to be a zombie, woke up, and then hooved Vince McMahon directly in them old testicles. It's one of the biggest pops still to this day I've ever witnessed. So honorable mention, Linda McMahon.
Linda
So
Mac.
number 5, and this is actually the only one on my list for aesthetic reasons, is Kelly Kelly. Number 5, Kelly Kelly. She was garbage in the ring.
Hello.
She could not speak,
Exhibitionist.
but she was gorgeous, and I was in love with her. Like anytime she was on, I hated Mike Knox so much because that's who she was paired with in ECW.
Yes.
Stupid Mike Knox.
He used to come out and cover it with a towel.
Yeah, come with a towel.
Yeah.
I hated him. I hated him so much. But she was garbage. But I don't know why, but for some reason I was just like Kelly Kelly. And so I was absolutely in love with Kelly Kelly. So she's my number 5. It'll be the only one that is on here specifically for
reasons.
I had to throw one of those on. So
Okay.
number 5, Kelly Kelly.
All right.
All right, Primo, you want to go number 4? Excuse me, or you want to go your number 5?
I don't want to skip my number 5.
Nope. Number 5.
But I do want to give an honorable mention, and this is before my number 5, and this is only for my brother. He's in the chat, Jet Dryer. I got to shout out Caitlin for him. That's his girl. that's his favorite. So and
That's his one, huh?
She is a very attractive lady.
Nice pick.
My number 5, though. I liked her. Her outfit. So not because I was a skater kid growing up. So
Okay.
I like the fact she wore Chucks. She was a smaller chick. But she still won women's champ a few times. AJ Lee.
AJ Lee. You said
AJ
Chucks.
Lee.
I knew where you were going.
Yep.
I like her whole get up.
Nice.
She had a good, cool vibe. And like I said, she was a smaller, more petite girl, but she still fought and scrapped with the best of them.
Yeah. Who's her husband?
Some guy, chick magnet.
Mr. Phillip Brooks.
Phillip Brooks.
Thank you.
Phillip Brooks. Coach.
Coach, yeah.
They might chant his name in Chicago, maybe.
Maybe.
We just call him Phil. Those of us who know us.
Oh, yeah.
Phil.
You're right.
He's Phil.
Yeah,
She was
just a local guy.
Jet. She was my number 5, not number 1.
Wait, she got fired on her birthday, or he got fired? No, on their wedding day.
I think.
Didn't she get a book out?
I think it was her birthday.
She got fired or something. Something happened on either a birthday or a wedding.
Oh.
I don't know.
It was. I don't remember, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. And then she wrote a book too, I think.
Yeah.
She did.
Okay, I'm gonna start with my top 5 by saying
Mae Young.
that all these are aesthetically pleasing to me in some way, shape, form, or another. But mostly for wrestling ability, and that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna start with number 5 is one that we're all very familiar with. We hear her voice a lot these days. I love the way she wrestled. I love her style. She was built nicely, should I say? But my number 5 is Edge's wife, the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix.
Beth
I
Phoenix.
almost put her on my list, actually.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love Beth,
She
man.
just was outside the bubble for me, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Jet Dryer said it was the wedding day. Good deal.
Yeah, but yeah, I agree with Beth Phoenix. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like Beth, man. I loved her style back when she kind of broke onto the scene. A lot of girls didn't look like her. She was like bigger stock muscle, and she got over, and she's a trooper. Last time she wrestled, she got her head busted open, and wrestled the whole Rumble the rest of the way, pouring blood. Man, I've always been a big fan of hers. Man.
I like Beth, and I like her athleticism and everything else. But as far as like man to woman, I don't know if I want somebody who can beat me in arm wrestling.
I don't care.
That's not a problem for me because most
Me either.
people can beat me in arm wrestling. So it'd be a very limited kind of pool if I had that as a criteria.
All right, so
Okay,
so my number 5 is Beth Phoenix, man, and I've always kind of liked her just a little bit more because she's Edge's husband.
Oh yeah, Edge's husband.
Yeah. So all right, so there's our number 5s. Let's get into number 4, AJ.
So number 4 joins the ranks of Chris Jericho and Ric Flair to be someone who has appeared on now more than one of my top 5 lists.
Okay.
Oh.
Number 4 is sensational Sherry Martel.
Wow.
So
Awesome.
I know she didn't wrestle much in WWE, but when she did, and I remember that like her specifically from when I was a kid, she was scary. Like she was super intense.
Would you say she was scary, Sherry?
She was sensationally scary.
Right.
But in the ring, like she was like intense. She was frightening. She was like a great heel. Like she was screechy. Like
First thing to me about Sherry as a wrestler, she could bump.
Yes, and she could really bump, and she was a team player too. Like if you could get her in there and be like, all right, now Brian Knobbs is going to give you a stink face or pity city, like you're going to take that. She'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, and also quite fun to look at. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Sure.
She was. But I loved her when I was a kid. I thought she was one of my favorite. She's like one of the best like true heels too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she was ever a face, like either in managing or wrestling. Oh, and she could talk too. She was pretty fantastic. I love Sherry Martel.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, real quick. Sherry, like I said, she could just bump, man, and she made you believe, and she sold you a lot on what was going on, and she was just, I mean, absolutely. She's not in my top 5, but she's arguably like definitely could be in there. All right, Primo, number 4.
Number 4 for me. She wrestled in WWE, and she became a women's champion. This was early 2000. Yeah, I forgot to do that, man. Yeah. I was totally going to say.
By the way, AJ, the rest of AJ's list from 3 on to 1
I was going to say that, man.
Nia Jax, and double Nia Jax.
Exactly what I was going to do. I was going to be like Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she wrestled early 2000s WWE. She was WWE Women's Champion. And then she went on to TNA and also did great things there, and that is Victoria.
Ah, good pick. That's someone you
don't
really
the Widow's
think about
Peak.
a lot.
The Widow Peak, that's right.
Yeah.
She was used to hang around with Stevie Richards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hated Stevie Richards.
AJ, Victoria used to have she had like a wrestling themed restaurant in Chicago somewhere.
Didn't she? Did you ever get to go?
I did not. I don't even know if it's still open, but you could go there and watch pay-per-views and that kind of stuff, obviously. But yeah, it was I can't remember the name of it. It's something, like Squared Circle Restaurant or something like that, but yeah.
It's called the what was the Stevie Richards.
Called Grab Them Cakes.
Grab Them Cakes. Yes. Oh my God, dibs on that for a restaurant name. Patent
Right.
pending.
Right, you got it. Yep. Junkyard Dog is on the logo.
Yeah.
All right, so who's up? Is me? Yeah,
This
me.
is you.
Okay, right. All right. My number 4. Now we're going to start to get into a little more of the familiar as we go here. My number 4. All right, boys, try to reel in the comments here. Let's remember this is a family show. But my number 4 is the 8th wonder of the world, China.
Oh.
So, somewhat like I was always kind of fascinated by her, man. Just like her strength, I ain't gonna say I thought she was always attractive, but she was attractive. There was a lot of times she started adding, let's see, what's the best way to say this?
Steroids.
Well, no, enhancements to her body. She started adding enhancements and parts that got bigger, and as they got bigger, my eyes got bigger. So, but she wrestled all the boys. I loved her with Eddie, probably my favorite.
Latino Heat.
Latino Heat. China was great, man. Legendary women's wrestler. She was first ever women's IC champion. I just feel like she's so important in wrestling for kind of breaking barriers for women. You got to put her in there. So for me, China, number 4. All right, top 3. AJ, start us off.
So number 3, which Dirty, I know you're not a fan, but she's actually there's 2 on my list that are current performers. But
Hold on.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. Wait, we got a match. We've got a match.
So see, I thought for sure this is going to be the list that we were all wildly different on.
Yeah.
Apparently not. So this particular lass, if you know what I mean, she started out in NXT. They saddled her with an Irish river dancing gimmick, and it turned out that she was just awesome. Like she broke her face, and then there was no stopping her. So Becky Two Belts, the man herself, Becky Lynch is my number 3 of all time, and I dare anyone to fight me, but not arm wrestle because I'll lose. Who disagrees with me?
Not me.
Primo?
I will say, that first of all, her song, whoa, yeah, the crowd goes crazy. That is also my number 3, obviously. We did have the same, so we weren't wildly different on that one. But we have good taste.
Yes, as we do.
All right,
Becky
so my
Lynch,
number.
the man is, she's my number 3 to make that official.
Dirty's wrong. He's not a fan of Becky Lynch.
I'm not a bit like I'm not against her like what she does. I just some wrestlers you get it, some you don't. I just don't get it with her. Like I said, a bunch of times.
She's probably my favorite out of the 4 horsewomen.
By far my favorite.
Yeah.
That's where you're all wrong, guys. The horsewomen starts with the nature girl. Okay.
Nature girl.
Woo!
All right.
Didn't even make an appearance on my list.
Let's go. Yeah, Becky's not on mine either, so touche.
It's because you don't know how to spell Lynch.
Yes, I do.
I don't even know what that means.
Anyway, all right, my number 3, somebody's still wrestling right now, but I'm going to say this. Not a fan of her now, going on. And you guys are going to laugh because I've always been a huge fan of this women's wrestler, and she's always been I've always been very happy to turn my TV on and see her on it because she's built like if I could build them, that might be how I'd want to build it, but she was from back, she's been around for a long time. She still wrestles now. I kind of lost a little bit of my fandom of her when I started reading her Twitter account because I thought she came off very annoying. But Anyway, and I'm not a big fan of cats either, so a lot of her tweets are about cats.
Ah, yes.
But my number 3 is Natalia, man. I've always been a big fan of hers. More back in the old days than I am now. You know,
You and Jet.
Yeah, you
she's
and
got to
Jack keep
be
going.
on top 3, man. I love Natty, and I always love going to house shows because she was always on the house shows, and I always love sitting close to get a good look at her. So
She actually is great at house shows. Like
yeah,
my brother and I went to one a few years ago, and she was on her way to the ring, and she stopped, and because we were like right on the ring
Mhm.
ramp, and she like stopped and talked to us for like 10 seconds, which doesn't seem like a long time, but when you're on your way to the ring, that's an
Right.
eternity. It was very cool that she did that.
Yeah, that's what I like about house shows too. They can get a little
Oh yeah.
You know who else was awesome at house shows? Randy Orton. Like he's awesome. I don't know if you guys have ever had any close encounters with Randy Orton.
Yeah,
He's the man at house shows.
I will. You guys are gonna laugh, but probably one of my favorite house show guys when I see they're on the card, just because I know they're gonna have fun and interact with the crowd. It's freaking Big Show, man. Big Show
Yeah.
always had fun. Like he comes out smiling, no matter the gimmick. He'd come out smiling, and like he's putting his hand up there, and kids are putting his hand up there, and it looks like a penny inside
Big
of
old bear paw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the well. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I always loved watching that. All right, we got off track a little bit. Let's get to our number 2s.
Number 2.
AJ, number 2.
So number 2,
I shall call him number 2.
in my opinion, if number 2 didn't exist, modern women's wrestling wouldn't exist. She is the first ever TNA Knockouts champ. She is kind of
Dude.
what. You're kidding me, right?
Oh, my gosh. We got another match here? Number at 2?
You can't see it.
He hasn't
Yeah.
said it yet. Don't say it. Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh my God. So I'm
Wow.
gonna be quiet about her right now. Because I stole Primo's number 3. So Gail Kim number 2. Moving on.
All the same things, man. So she did great things in WWE, right, early in her career, but she went to TNA and became one of the greatest knockouts, because knockouts is what they call their women wrestlers. Knockouts in TNA history. She's in the TNA Hall of Fame now, and also as AJ said, the first ever TNA Knockouts champion. She's awesome. First of all, she's athletic as all get out.
Very. Yeah. She's good.
She's very fun to watch wrestle, because she could hop all around the ring and really whoop up on some ladies.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very interesting. All right, so that's y'all's number 2. My number 2, my boy Primo's gonna love this pick, man. She was basically, like, I think the hottest thing on TV, because I dug chicks like her with the tattoos and the red hair. When she almost broke her neck on Monday Night Raw, I thought I was gonna maybe cry a little bit when her and Trish main evented Raw. So, but man, my number 2 is, I love Lita. She represented to me the grunge era. I love the whole baggy pants, tank tops, tattoos. She was we went with the Hardy Boys. They were young and yeah, just Lita, man. Like, all you gotta say is Lita. The live sex shows with Edge,
with the rated R superstar,
superstar, all that, yeah, good Lord, man.
She went from it's going off what I'm just gonna go ahead and say, because that's my number 1, obviously. She went from being awesome performer, this rebellious chick, right, to being Edge's arm candy, who wears really low cut shirts.
Really low cut.
Lots of things showing through her shirt. She almost married Kane. She had
she did.
There was a awesome feud. No, it wasn't really awesome because it was real life between Edge and Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What do they call that? Poetry imitating life, or
life imitating art?
Yes.
Life imitating art. There you go.
But we'll go with poetry imitating. Imitating life.
Sure.
Biscuits imitating cookies.
But yeah, my 5 down. Since AJ took my last 2, in order, actually.
Yeah.
I have AJ Lee for 5, 4 Victoria, 3 Becky Lynch, 2 Gail Kim, and number 1 Lita herself. How she was, like we said, she's super cool. That moonsault, she does moonsault. Hung out with Team Extreme. She was what
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
everything. You guys know I'm a Hardy Boys fan, so clearly.
A bit of a Hardy Boys fan.
And
Yeah.
always, just
Lately.
a little. And always, that, she'd get on the ropes, and turn backwards and then do that, like, like always smooth, man. Just, I love, she did a lot of awesome stuff, man. I was always a big fan of
Amy
Lita.
Dumas.
Amy
Yep.
Dumas.
Amy
All right,
Dumas.
AJ, who you got number 1, sir? Since we know
So
Primo.
we have the honorable mention Linda McMahon. We have number 5 Kelly Kelly. Number 4 Sherry Martel. Number 3 same as Primo. Number 2 same as Primo. And number 1, I think she's also a current wrestler. I think she is the best worker in the women's division. I think that she has the coolest look. I think her promos, even though they are not in English, are amazing. Number 1 is Asuka. I love
Okay.
Asuka more than any. I don't know why. Like I immediately kind of glommed onto her. I love it so much.
I'm like watching.
She cracks
every time
me up.
I know. It's so
It's
funny.
amazing. She has a great entrance song. She has the coolest look, like that kabuki mask.
She's like, she'll like says something like she's cussing them out in Japanese, and she's like, Charlotte.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
It's amazing.
Charlotte is not ready for Asuka.
Not ready for Asuka. And then when Becky Lynch had announced that she was having a baby, like Asuka was like, "Baby?" Like it's
Right.
just that right there.
Her dancing is funny too.
Oh,
Her dancing.
she's
Like
just
like she was dancing with the belt. Remember when
with the
Becky
belt.
gave it to her? Yeah.
And
Good
then
stuff.
she'll also just destroy everyone in the ring. Like
She was at one point the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion.
Yes, she took that undefeated streak for however long. They kind of ruined that in the main event or in the main roster, but
Yep.
I think to me like she is the entire the total package, if you will.
If you will. I'm
Yeah.
dying with kings and queens, the Nick Cans and pork and beans.
She's
Baby.
just the best. I don't think she'll ever be replaced as my favorite female wrestler of all time.
All right, couple honorable mentions from me. Just want to throw them out there just because of their importance of everything going on. Trish Stratus, Mickey
I was gonna say
James.
nobody had Trish.
No one had Mickey James, which
Trish Stratus, Mickey James, Sasha, Bailey. I'm just, evolution women is what I'm, talking here.
I mean, yeah.
Ronda.
I had Becky.
We both had Becky. What are you talking about?
She's in the women's revolution.
Your favorite. I actually almost put Ronda at number 4 instead of leaving her completely off my list.
No way.
Because apparently she's a terrible human being, like in real life. So.
All right, there's a couple of my honorable mentions. 5-1, Beth Phoenix, Chyna, Natalya, Lita. All right, my number 1. If you know me, you know where I'm going with this. All right, so I'm gonna say 2 things here. Okay, let's start with the obvious thing first. If you know me, yes, my wife is friends with Charlotte Flair. She knows Charlotte. Yes. Okay. So if you know me, people are
since episode 1 may not know that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not they're not best friends, but whatever. Anyway, but I just, man, she is like, she's got the cumber. She learned fast. Watched her since the beginning. I think she's going to be the best ever once we're all done. Her moves are so smooth. I like her as a heel more than a face. I think she's better as a heel. I don't really know where they're going right now. Not basing any of that off, anything. I feel like she's in a little bit of a gimmick middle ground, I guess, so to speak. I don't know where she's going yet with it, but she's the GOAT's daughter. And so that right there is enough for me. I can't wait to see this wrestling lucha nature boy they're going to make when the baby comes.
This is going to be a wrestling god.
Oh my God, this baby,
seriously.
if it happens, is going to have the biggest lineage of heritage we've ever seen, possibly with Mexico and then United States. Like
the
unbelievable.
best ever third generation superstar.
Yes.
Yep, yep. I love Charlotte Flair, man. It was great. I was there WrestleMania 31 when she won the belt in the triple threat match against Sasha and Bailey. So it was just amazing, man.
Who would have thought that a criteria for being a woman's wrestler was that they had to indeed be a woman? Well, we did. Obviously, that's a joke, but we really enjoyed that conversation. Now, I want to bring you into our final Dropkick discussion on this Best of Edition, episode 20. It's probably my favorite discussion that we've had so far. We had a lot of fun with it. We're probably going to come back for a part 2 of this discussion or a spin-off of this discussion, and that is the top 5 wrestling entrances of all time.
So today's Dropkick discussion is our top 5 favorite wrestler entrances of all time. This is going to be fun. I've always kind of looked forward to this one. So when doing this criteria, we come up with entrances.
Yep, get it ready.
The lights, the video, the music, the fan interaction, the big pop, the pomp and circumstance. Are you glued to that wrestler? Blah blah blah. So yeah, our top 5 favorite wrestler entrances. Who wants to start us off here, boys? At number 5, Primo, take it, buddy.
I want to say first before we get really into this. We could do a whole nother one of these. First of all, I could have done a top 10.
Yep,
Sure.
me too.
Yeah,
but we could do a whole nother one of these with just the music.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, my number 5, if anybody saw my TikTok or my IG today, you would have heard the Slow Chemical by Finger 11. Kane, my guy. I liked both his original entrance with his classic music, and of course I really marked out for the Finger 11 remix of his song. That was awesome, and it's iconic. You see the flames come up and the red lights go down. Kane's coming out, and it was always cool whenever he'd be gone for a couple months, and then suddenly, usually around the Rumble, he'd come back, and we'd see that red, those red lights, and then them flames shoot up. Of course, him getting in the ring, and then dropping the arms in the 4 posts with golden flames. Kane's entrance for me is number 5.
There it is.
All right, AJ, number 5.
I do like Kane's entrance a lot. So I first have an honorable mention that I didn't want to put on my list because I didn't want you guys to make fun of me, but like you would put that on there. But number 5, honorable mention, quick, to Shinsuke Nakamura, because I love his song. I love the. This is why we needed to do like a top 10.
Yeah.
Like the way he enters the ring, he's just charisma. That's all Shinsuke is,
man.
and his everything about it awesome. But
Undead is a good one. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but I didn't even think about that when he mentioned. But you go ahead.
So number 5, all this guy was an entrance. He was horrible in the ring. I've already done one of his promos, and it's total gibberish. Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. All he was an entrance. Like that music hit, the crowd would go absolutely mental, and then he would hit the ring and shake the ropes, and he would always sprint. And I remember like one of my first, actually I think it was my very first house show that I ever went to. I don't think he's
run.
There it is. Yeah, I almost just stood up and started running around my room. So the very first house show we went to, Ultimate Warrior was feuding with Rick Rude at the time, and I remember when his music hit, everyone just absolutely went nuts, and then he comes sprinting out, and it's still like anytime I watch old matches, I will skip the actual match, but always watch the Ultimate Warrior's entrance. So number 5.
Good pick.
Hulk Hogan.
All right, well, for me, number 5, boys, I'm gonna kick it back, old school, but like I said, man, This one was hard. I looked at my top 5. I reworked it. I looked at it again. I reworked it. I mean, you could keep
Like I
doing
said,
this.
we could have done top 10.
Yeah. It even come down to a few things where I went to YouTube and started Googling entrances to kind of watch them over to see what I felt. But all right, guys. But for me, I'm gonna talk about my honorable mentions later. Me at number 5 was the biggest entrance of my uh, childhood, really. There's a reason why they call it the Road Warrior Pop. There's a reason why, they helped kind of solidify entrances because now they did have a bunch of different songs, but the one that I mostly pinned together is Iron Man by
Yep.
what's the Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one I immediately think of when you said
Yes.
Road Warrior Pop.
Yeah, so when Iron Man hit, I am Iron Man. They didn't come out and look at the crowd. They didn't come out and stand and smell and any of that stuff. They hit the ring, man, and it was butt whooping time right off the get go. You better watch them run into the ring because when they got there, they cleaned house. Road Warrior Pop. Everybody went nuts when the music came on because they know somebody was about to get their A kicked shortly. So for me, number 5, man, these guys got to be on the list of entrances because they kind of helped make it popular. Road Warriors, number 5. Primo, number 4.
Number 4, before we get there, I want to say I didn't even mention my honorable mention. I forgot to do that because it's not on my paper. My honorable mention would be
Ronnie Garvin.
Would be No More
Greg the
Words.
Valentine.
Jeff Hardy. He's not on my top 5, but he would have been he's on my list of honor. He's down there in the bottom 5.
I can't even do his dance right now because I'm sitting down.
We're gonna go. My number 4 would have to be. Let's see.
Time to play the game.
That's right. Triple H, baby. You know it. So, I mean, obviously, the pop when he was a face. Think of go back and watch his return in 2002. When that music hits the crowd, when he comes out with the hybrid leather jean jacket.
Yes.
That pop was crazy for him. But no, I loved. First of all, not so much the old the when he was the, what do you call that? The yuppie guy.
Oh,
the British.
he was the French dandy.
Yeah. Not so much that one, but my time was awesome. Probably one of my favorites. The second one, that one.
Time to play the game. It's all about
music,
the game.
the fact that he has Motorhead singing everything. So the music, the light show. I mean, obviously he interacts with the water spitting, the face making, and of course,
like it's synchronized,
yeah, exactly. He waits, and then he spits the water. But then, of course, later on in his career, as he became the boss, he had King of Kings. So yeah, behold the King of Kings.
And I love, they kept the production on him kept just ramping up and ramping
exactly.
up. Like that's one of the things you look forward to at WrestleMania.
Right.
Is Triple H.
And that's another thing. We could do a WrestleMania entrance one another time.
And that would be a completely different.
He always had good ones too. The Terminator, the Throne, all those. Anyway, Triple H is my number 4.
Good one.
So my number 4 has already been mentioned. Stupid lumberjack. That's the Firefly Bray Wyatt song.
So good. I forgot about that.
It's so cool. I'm sure you guys have been to house shows. I mean, it looks cool on TV when all the lights go down and everyone gets their phones out. Yeah. And I'm sure you guys have been to house shows when it happens, but it is so cool when you're sitting in that completely dark arena. And that song is great. It's called Live in Fear by Mark Crozer.
Yep.
And Bray Wyatt picked that himself, it was great.
Oh, I love that, man.
But being in the crowd, when everyone, when lights go off and everyone has their cell phones out and waving them back and forth, that is always, I mean, obviously not a thing anymore, but whenever we went to house shows, that was always be my favorite thing about, no matter who was on the card. As long as Bray Wyatt was there, I'm like, yes, the Bray Wyatt entrance.
I gotta say I'm a fan of that, and I'm also a big fan of because I like hard rock, so I'm a big fan of the Fiends remix of that song too.
I like that a lot
Yeah.
too. And I was gonna pick one or the other, and when I was thinking about which one Bray Wyatt that I wanted, and I was like, I gotta go with Firefly,
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt. But plus he has like I love the lantern with the stupid smoke coming out of it. I
Yeah.
mean we don't need Dirty anymore. Like he already gave his number 5, so I mean that's hey Dirty, welcome back. Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna keep talking for a minute until.
Of course, and I mean he had the whole thing though, because it was once he had the Wyatt family, they had the rocking chair, they had the lantern,
Yeah.
they had all the fireflies. There was a whole thing like,
You guys see me now?
yeah, and he just
Yes.
Thank you.
it was kind of like it gives you that's one of those that give you chills.
Yeah, like it
Yeah.
give you like little goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like whenever.
Another thing I
whenever
want
it
to say
happens.
real quick about Kane earlier. How many times have you pooped your pants when he does that boom, at a live show? Like, how
That's
loud is that live?
crazy.
You know,
Yeah, it's nuts.
I've never seen Kane at a live show.
Wow.
That makes me sad.
It's probably not going to happen then. Let's
Well, he has mayoral duties now that he has to
True.
attend to.
All right, guys. For my number 4, I went hometown.
Yep.
Tell me you don't get goosebumps listening to this.
Actually,
Okay, I'm redoing my list.
That's my number 4. I've always loved that entrance. It's adrenaline pumping.
Yeah.
Just like it just gets me fired up.
I love that.
One of my favorite entrances of all time is when the Hardy Boys came back at WrestleMania. Nobody knew they was there.
My gosh.
I love that whole behind the scenes thing that they did where they kept them in a bus. Nobody knew they were coming out, and the New Day introduced them. The New Day didn't even know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was fantastic, man. So me number 4, the Hardy Boys.
Recently, actually, just watched another one of those clips, but it was from with inside the crowd, and the reaction is explosive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's great. All right, Primo, start us off with our top 3.
Number 3, you can't talk about entrances without this number 3 on there. He would be on most people's number 1s, but he's not on mine. He went on number 3, and that is The Undertaker.
Number 3 for the Undertaker.
So
Interesting.
I love the Dead Man. He's a fellow Texan. Of course, not in the Undertaker persona, but the whole thing. I mean, it's a production with him. Like, you want to talk about production. You have the smoke, the fog. You have, which way? Where's he coming from? He's coming from under the ring. Is he coming from the lightning?
Yeah.
He's coming, everything. The slow, intimidating walk to the ring, the blue lights.
Yeah.
Also, on the flip side, I was a big fan of Big Evil, Biker Taker.
Huh.
The motorcycle. The motorcycles are my family, so it's like motorcycles. Big. I love that too. But most importantly, his Dead Man entrance is obviously it will go down. It's historic with WWE. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And it's afforded more time than any entrance ever, and rightfully so. Like he milks it. Like he
That's
milks it
a
more
solid
than Triple H.
Like I swear sometimes it's one of those if you skip ahead and you skip like 5-10 minutes, it's still going.
It's still going.
Oh yeah. When the gong hits, I can go to the bathroom, make a sandwich, and
take the garbage out.
Yeah, take the garbage out and take my dog for a walk and come back, and he'll still be standing in the smoke.
He's just now walking out.
Right, yeah. All right, AJ, number 3.
So number 3 for me is so simple that I'm not even really going to talk about it all that much. When you hear glass break, crowd goes nuts.
They do.
Like Stone Cold Steve Austin has a bigger reaction with just glass breaking. I love it. So I was never the biggest Stone Cold fan growing up. I mean, I liked him a lot, but I was always more in the Rock's camp. Like it's like the Beatles versus, get that pen out of here. The Beatles. It's like the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones. Like you kind of side with one or the other.
Right.
To me,
Yeah,
it was always either rock or Stone Cold, and I always picked the rock. But again, that glass breaking, and I was gonna get a glass and like smash it on my floor because I don't have any music queued up or anything. But I thought that would be unnecessary. So yeah, number 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin, just for that glass break. That's it. Biggest pop ever out of fans on a simple glass break.
All right, when we got into these top 3, man, I had to really put my heart aside because I want to put Ric Flair at the top of everything wrestling ever.
I'm sorry, really quick, Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene. He's my number 3. I was getting to it. If you'll let me finish here, please. we might got Primo. We about to spit his rowdy out. All right. For me, number 3, the man, the myth, the legend. When you went to a wrestling show, if this guy was on the card, he was probably in the main event. The kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun, jet riding, limousine flying, all that stuff, man. Flair. Now, 2001 Odyssey was the music he came out to, but it was simple. It was lights. It was smoke. It was music. It always felt important when Rick came to the ring, like you were really seeing somebody, like you were really seeing the best of the best. The way he carried himself. The way he interacted with the women. Simple but very pomp and circumstance. And the entrances got a little more elaborate as he got to WWE. But for me at number 3, man, I had to get Rick in there just because of the way I felt. When the music came on, and Rick Steamboat standing in the ring waiting on him, or Sting, and Rick is milking it. He's taking his time walking. He's wooing. When it's time for Rick to come to the ring, everybody's already been wooing 15 minutes ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so
you see the big crowd sign, the woo.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So number 3, man, got to put Rick in there.
I do have a quick story about Ric Flair's entrance in music. So, obviously there's no internet back when we were children, but I remember reading in one of the magazines that Ric Flair used the music from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like desperate to watch that movie. Again, I was like 8 years old. So my mom, she saw that it was like PG, so she rented it for us. And I watched that movie, didn't get it. It was very disappointing. Yeah. I was 8. 8-year-olds should not be watching 2001: A Space Odyssey. But
I want to say, go ahead.
I loved it the first 10 minutes just because it was Ric Flair music. Like, that's all it was. Like, Thus Spake Zarathustra is the actual name of the song, but
yeah,
like I watched the first 10, like you have to rewind the video cassette.
Right.
So I watched that, like I got our rental price out of that.
Say, rewind it before you turn it back into Blockbuster.
You Be Kind, Rewind.
I worked at Blockbuster, by the way. It's a great
All right, let me say this real quick, and then we'll move on to number 2. Macho Man not on my top 5, but his entrance was always similar to me with Flair's.
Yep.
Because he had the graduation song, right?
Pomp and Circumstance.
Pomp and Circumstance. Okay, yeah. But it was simple. He walked out with the robe. He had the glasses. Elizabeth, glitter flying. It was similar. You know what I mean? In the sense that you felt like you were watching somebody popular, famous. Like it was simple, and like it meant everything to me just to watch Macho walk to the ring, and put his taped finger up in the air and do the spin like it was so simple but perfect, and nonetheless, it gets me in my feels is what I'm trying to say. Gets me in my wrestling feels. All right, here we go. Primo, let's roll on to number 2.
Number 2. All I gotta say for number 2, I got a question. Are you ready? DX. I mean, you got the screen overlay with the bridge blowing up and the girls and the gate, you got all that. You got Shawn and Triple H coming out, or else you got Triple H and the rest of the gang, the rest of the Scooby Gang, the Mystery Gang, coming out. Now, DX, their entrance, first of all, that song alone will get you hyped up.
Yeah.
Break it down. Exactly. Except for when they came out and played it live. It was
garbage.
Yeah. But other than that, it always got me hyped up, and it was awesome, and everything, neon green you can think of. So DX is my number 2 entrance.
All right. AJ?
So my number 2 is also not my number 1. That made sense in my head when I said it, because I was assuming that everyone was going to have the same number 1, but it's that streak has already or that idea has already been shattered by Primo.
Streak?
I don't know. I just
streak with the Undertaker?
This gentleman was on a streak.
Yeah.
Hercules Hernandez. No.
Kane.
So Undertaker, number 2. Like I thought that him not being number 1 was going to be controversial, so I'm glad that someone already beat me to the not having him at number 1 punch. So yeah, we've already said everything that needs to be said about Taker's entrance. Like, I don't care how long it is. It's one of those things. Like, how there's some like TV shows that when you watch the beginning, you always watch the opening credits with
right. Yeah.
Like with Game of Thrones, I was like that. I always watch the opening credits. To Game of Thrones. Yeah. This is like that with Taker. I never skip the Taker entrance, and I still won't if he ever comes out again. So number 2 is the Undertaker.
All right.
And if you want to throw American Badass Taker in there too, you can as well.
For me, we've already talked about my number 2. Oh, hell yeah! But yeah, number 2, man, Stone Cold. He gets the adrenaline pumping. When the glass breaks, you knew somebody was going to get popped. So for me, number 2. All right, Primo, let's get these number 1s out of the way. Who is our top 5 or number 1 top entrance of all the times?
Of all the times. I'm going to go 5-1.
Okay.
Kane, number 5. 4, Triple H. 3, Undertaker. 2, which is the only faction on my list, DX.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, I am a real American. Just kidding. It's Stone Cold. It's Stone Cold all day long. The glass breaks. It's not Hulk Hogan. No, it's not. Stone Cold, the glass breaks. As JR would say, business is about to pick up.
That's right.
He comes out. When you hear that glass break, he's coming out on a mission.
Yeah.
How many times you seen that glass break, and he comes out, beelines the ring, lays a whooping on everybody in there, stomps a mud hole, if you will, and then just talks some trash, drinks a couple Steve Weisers, and then makes exit. So yeah, obviously, and also a fellow Texan.
Yep.
I've heard that before.
Big fan. Stone Cold, you're my hero. All right, thank you. That's my number 1.
All right, good deal. AJ.
So, number 5. Turn the plane into a nosedive, Hulk Hogan. I really need to learn that whole promo so I can just not do that same line over and over again. Number 4, Firefly, Bray Wyatt. Number 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Number 2, The Undertaker. And number 1, I am a real American. No, I'm just kidding. Number 1 is Finn Balor. Finn Balor is absolutely my
wow. Okay, Finny.
Yeah. Both. Finny. I couldn't pick between normal Finn Balor and Demon Finn Balor, because normal Finn Balor is awesome enough where he does the
Like
the leather jacket, he's coming out. Yeah.
he
I like the
flips
demon
the
because of the
collar.
heartbeat and stuff. Like,
Yeah, and then you have the demon where
Yeah.
he's crawling through the smoke and
The red
Yeah.
light.
yeah, the red
Yeah.
light and the heartbeat and it's like a warped version of his awesome entrance music.
Did y'all
Yeah.
see the Jack the Ripper one from NXT?
Yeah, from NXT when they were in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. I mean, he has had some silly demons. Like, remember when he was like Mr. Pumpkin Face with Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
It was silly.
Yeah.
But both of those get me more hyped. Like, I'll be at home by myself watching, NXT. Well, not NXT, but the old NXT when
Yeah.
he was on before, and it hit and I would do
Yeah.
it like every single time.
I do it too. I'm not ashamed.
No. We
All right,
laugh at the word fart and do the.
I interact like I'm part of the crowd, okay?
I do too. I absolutely do too.
All right, so my top 5. First of all, I want to throw out some honorable mentions out there and have you guys react to them real quick. All right, entrances. Think entrances. Okay, ready? Goldberg.
I thought about Goldberg,
Okay.
but
NWO.
blowing the smoke.
Yep, NWO.
NWO, yeah.
Lumberjack.
Black and white.
Yeah, black and white. Yep.
Yeah.
How about Roddy Piper?
Oh.
With the
Right.
bagpipes.
Yep.
I totally
bagpipes.
forgot
Yep.
about Roddy Piper.
All right, yeah. Here's a couple of them. Rock. Rock.
If you smell. And also, he had the other one that was just like when he was the movie star.
Yeah.
It's cooking.
Yeah.
And then.
Next up, Edge.
So
Edge.
I was gonna. He almost made my list just because I'm an
Yep.
Edge head.
Yep.
But I liked when he had the Rob Zombie song, and
Yeah.
then obviously when he got Metalingus from Alter Bridge, I really enjoyed
Never
that.
gonna stop you.
Yeah.
Never gonna
Yeah.
stop.
I
Yep.
Exactly.
hated that Rob Zombie song. I hated it so much that it made me dislike Edge for a period of time.
All right.
My Dracula.
Yep. A few more here. The Brood.
Well, none of us said the Brood. I thought for sure the Brood was gonna
man.
make somebody's
Love
list,
the
but they,
Brood. You know what? It would probably make my number 6, honestly. But
Yeah.
going through Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Undertaker, Rick Rude, Ultimate Warrior. We obviously. And here's one I'm gonna throw out that you guys might laugh at or whatever, just because it was different. It didn't last long. How about Adam Rose?
Adam
Remember him?
Rose with his
the Rose Train or whatever it was, the party train.
Yeah, it was
The Rose
different. It was
bunnies.
different. Yep. All right,
What
so
about,
let's get.
What about like Doink? How about Doink Center? Remember Doink with like the creepy like circus music? That was
Circus music,
terrifying.
yeah, it was like scary clown music.
Yeah.
The
All right,
gobbledygooker.
so my 5 to 1 starting at 5 was the Road Warriors. 4 was the Hardy Boys. 3 was Flair. 2 was Stone Cold. Number 1 of all time, and I'm not kidding. I'm the real American.
Oh man.
I still listen to this song when I cut the grass.
What is that remix?
Red and yellow, baby. It don't get much more hype than that. The red and yellow hits. USA, everybody in the arena goes wild. There's no
He's
bigger
wearing the
hit
python.
than Hulk Hogan. Yeah, pulling off the shirt, man.
Yeah.
That is where it's at, man.
I mean, that does kind of make you hyped up. Not gonna
It
lie.
does, man. It does. Like, you feel pride.
Yeah.
It makes you think in your head, have I been eating my vitamins? Have I been
Yeah.
staying my prayer? Because I'm over here stretching and I'm just like,
Do I look quite as good as Hulk?
yeah. Like WrestleMania 3, man. It's nuts, man. It's nuts. And Hogan got pops before there was music.
Yes,
Right.
he did.
Yeah, back when they were
And
just
he-
like rolling out to the ring.
Yeah.
Well, Hogan was the one who basically invented ring entrances. He didn't invent them, but he made them what they
He pioneered them.
Yep,
And-
yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the dropkick discussion of the day. AJ is frozen.
Going
there
back
you
and
are.
watch. Oh, was I gone?
You were for a second. You were
You were
like,
like, all right, you are back.
I don't even remember what I was saying. Hulk Hogan sucks now. He was great then, was the moral of the
I just love that we both mocked the Hulk Hogan.
I know, and it was actually Dirty's number 1.
I'm virtually flipping you guys off right now. You don't see it.
There you have it. That was probably my favorite discussion that we've had so far. As you can tell, each week we have so much fun doing these discussions. Our opinions are very similar and some are different. Dirty and AJ are from just like one generation ahead of me, so some of their viewpoints and opinions may be a little older, where mine is a little from like the 90s and beyond. However, we want to go and say thank you to everybody that's listened and everybody that's gotten us to 20 episodes. When we first started this up, we weren't sure exactly what would come of it. We did know for a fact that we were going to enjoy it. We love talking about wrestling. We do it anyway, so why not put it on the airwaves for all of you to listen, hear our opinions, hear our weekly recaps, hear Pick Primo's brain, hear the squared circle questions, hear all of our dropkick discussions. Once again, thank you so much from all of us, Dirty Bird, AJ, and myself, Primo, for tuning in and listening to Sit Down Marks every single week and making us the small success that we have already become in our own minds anyway. We have enjoyed every bit of it, and we will continue to do this for as long as people will listen. Now, finally, I would like to once again remind everybody that we are available on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Amazon Prime Music, Audible, and of course, Sportnarium Online Radio. Our Sportnarium slot is every Friday evening at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time after the Thomas Bryce, and they also replay us throughout the week. If you want to find out more about that, you can go follow at SportnariumWW, or you can follow Thomas Bryce on Twitter as well. Or you can go ahead and follow us at Sit Down Marks. That's at SitDownMarks. That's at Sit Down Marks. And we retweet all the replays. We retweet everything. If you'd like stickers, message us directly on that account. We will mail you out some stickers. We love everybody that listens to the show. We love talking about wrestling. And we, like I said, we are going to continue to do this for as long as people will listen. Thank you.
Hey, it's your heel host, the Dirty Bird. Thank you for listening to our first best of show of the first 20 episodes of the Sit Down Marks podcast. Remember, you can get any of those episodes on any audio podcast platform out there. Now get ready. Next week is going to be a big show. We got the 2019 Scenic City Invitational winner, Daniel Makabe, a big interview to kick off the show. And then after that, we're going to talk about the upcoming Scenic City Invitational tournament. We're going to talk about AAW, that me and the boys are going to the show, and it's going to be a big show. You know, we're going to be always doing our shenanigans, bad impressions. We're going to have squared circle questions. We'll be back, and then we'll also have the return of promo school as well. So it's going to be fun. Make sure you tune in next week. Make sure you download that podcast wherever you are. Tell a friend, tell a partner, tell somebody you work with, tell anybody. But most of all, we want to thank you guys for listening to us. And we'll see you guys next week. We can't wait. See you then.
Whoa. Y'all thought I forgot? AJ, tell them.
Even though we're off, remember to grab them cakes.